Whoopsie. No. Or maybe just put new batteries in there. Yeah, you're right. Good evening, everybody. We'll start this Monday, June 12th, 2023 Board of Selectmen meeting. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first item on the agenda tonight is a public hearing regarding an amendment to the Arundel Seasonal Cottages Municipal Development and Tax Increment Financing District. I'll turn it over to Keith, basically just to give a quick overview, and then if any folks from the general public have any comments, you're more than welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Specifically, what we're intending to do is to modify the existing TIF that we had that was put in place in 2015 with approval by the taxpayers here in the community, as well as finally approval by the Department of Economic and Community Development. And essentially in the original agreement, or the original paperwork that we submitted, there was an effort that was being made to provide a septic sewer system connection on the Route 1 corridor from the Arundel Cottages down to the Kennebunk River Bridge, and then hopefully connect into the sewer system with the Kennebunk Sewer District. In addition to that, there was a sidewalk proposal to put sidewalk on Route 1, and a few other little things, but essentially the main focus was the sewer. And what's occurred since 2015, really since I got here, we hired a company, engineering firm, Wright Pierce, to provide us some expertise to look at the cost associated with that. So we engaged not only Wright Pierce to look at cost going to Biddeford to perhaps do the connection, do a standalone sewer system for the town, and or a sewer system connection with Kennebunk. That seemed like the best alternative. And what occurred through our negotiations is that the cost was just prohibitive. So, and when I say prohibitive, the intent was to collect enough money through the TIF in order to pay any bond for it. And we were up close to $10 million for that connection to the sewer. So the selectmen decided to look at alternatives for use of the funds that we'd already collected. At this point, since the TIF has been in place, the town of Arundel has $531,000 sitting in this account. So they decided to put together a TIF capture committee along with the board, and they met for several months to look at alternative uses of the funding that we had there. So what they did is they came up with some changes or modifications to it to use it in reference to public safety building and public safety equipment infrastructure. In other words, we're looking at perhaps an expansion to the fire station as part of the funding to be used, as well as the purchase of a new ambulance for the fire rescue department. So those are the main factors that we're looking to do. So when folks come to vote on Wednesday, those would be the main things that we're looking at trying to change into. So I think that gives a quick synopsis of where we are at this point and how far we've gone. I'm sure you folks can fill in a little more of the detail if we need to.
Thank you. Anybody from the public have any comments or questions they'd like to ask? If you do, please stand up, turn the mic on and state your name. Thank you.
This should be Gene.
Hey, excuse me, let's make sure that mic is.
You're all set.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gene Giacchino. Just a question. You indicated that the engineering study came up with an estimated cost of about 10 million to run the sewer line to Kennebunk. Any idea what the original estimate was, or
Yeah, it was around
back in
around 3 million.
2015 when it was proposed?
Yes, it's in there.
We
Yes, sir. It's in
estimated
the
around 3
paperwork.
million.
Oh, it
that-
is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yep. Okay. I get it now.
Should be on page 1.
Okay. Yeah, so 2 to 3.6 million
Right.
back in 2015.
Yes.
Okay, so it was,
And we
the
greatly
decision
under,
was based on that number.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Good job, Ben. I appreciate that.
Thank you, John. Jack Reese, Clearview Drive. In addition to that, $10 million, that was just to bring a sewer line down to the bridge. As I understand it, Kennebunk was requiring, they're at capacity with their system now. They cannot support West Kennebunk at present time, a large portion of the town, and that they were looking for additional millions from Arundel if we were to connect. And I don't know what those numbers were, but I think they were perhaps even larger than the $10 million.
Yeah, there were many factors when we met with the Board of Trustees.
And so-
There a lot of hidden costs that we didn't know.
Yes, they were hidden, kind of partially known, but my point is that it's even less tenable.
Well,
Then-
what was really driving it too was is that the sewer district, because they would have to take our flow, additional flow, they were looking at upgrading pump stations and force mains that go to their system, and they're in the process now of updating their septic plant. So there were a lot of factors, as you described, Jack, and they just some of those were unknown unless we had signed that agreement. But I think the selectmen at the time thought that the numbers that we already had proposed were just unattainable for us.
And that was really my point, that 10 million was only the starter. And while those costs that Kennebunk would charge us are presumably reasonable, it would make this a very expensive project. Thank you.
Correct. Any other members from the public would like to make a comment? If not, anybody from the board?
I just want to add too that Kennebunk also provided us with, the town of Arundel was going to be responsible for billing. Everybody that was within our district was, the town of Arundel was going to have to bring on staff to process the billing portion of the sewer, as well as maintain all the sewer lines within the town lines. So the town of Arundel essentially was going to have to create like a sewer department And I don't think we ever pursued what that was gonna cost, but I think that was just another deciding factor for us.
Good point, Jason. Yep. Okay, anything else? All right. Here, without hearing any more information, or comments, we will close the public hearing and we will move on to our regular meeting. Approval of the agenda. I do have an RSU 21 Board of Directors update.
Move to approve as amended.
Motion by Jason. Seconded by Tom. All those in favor? None opposed. Okay, next item is public forum where we would take public comment on any non-agenda items. Anybody would like to have public comment? Jack hasn't been here for a while, so.
Thank you. A number of years ago, 4 signs on our town borders were cut down by people unknown, and they've never been replaced. Isn't it about time that we could afford to do that? Does our town even exist? Hardly without. Aren't we proud of our town? Shouldn't we advertise a little bit? I think we should. Thank you.
You sure?
I think.
Just give it to them.
Thank you for those comments, Jack, or for that comment. Anybody else have any interest in public comment? Okay. Moving on, next item is the approval minutes, May 22, 2023. Don't answer it.
I move to approve the minutes of 22nd.
Motion by Jason, seconded by Phil. Any other comments? All those in favor? Motion carries. Committee and board reports. I do have a board report of the Monday, June 5th, RSU 21 School Board Directors. The meeting called to order at 6 p.m. Let's see. So they had some recognitions. The board presented a self-evaluation. They all did kind of a self-evaluation of all the different, there were some different categories. Pretty interesting. Consent agenda items. They had the approval of some probationary teachers. There were 30 second-year teachers that they approved, and there were 24 third-year teachers that were approved. There was nomination of Molly Dilworth, instructor and assessment officer of the district, a salary of $110,000. There was nomination of Rachel Bratter, special services director for the district, salary of $125,000, and nomination of Meredith Saget, physical education teacher at KCS, for a salary of $53,743. Committee and superintendent's report. Gave a quick update on the TNTP report. This is a report that's been ongoing over the years, where they've hired an outside company to come in, do surveys, and kind of report on all that stuff, surveys and scores. Things are obviously heading in, I wouldn't say obviously, but things are heading in the right direction. They talked a little bit about a transgender and gender expensive student administrative procedure. More to come on that. They're heavily diving into that stuff. Committee and board reports for curriculum. Art talked about curriculum that they had put together on 6/12 meeting. That will be reviewed and will be implemented for the following year. Human Resources, Dawn updated on a new payroll and time attendance program called ADP, where folks can kind of go online, check, see all of their payrolls and stuff. We use it where I work, and it's a pretty decent system. Art talked about the finances. They did an RFP for bank services, and they had 3 banks that came in, and they ended up picking Kennebunk Savings Bank. Basically with all of the incentives that they have, they could end up with about $350,000 a year in savings in using that bank. They hadn't changed banks in many, many years, so that looked out pretty good. Amanda talked about on the communications committee, talked about some changes to the website, trying to make it a little bit more little easier. If you recall, a few years ago, they totally revamped the website, and they're trying to set it up so that some of the information structure is just a little bit easier to get to. Aaron talked about the facilities, talked about summer projects. There was no, because of the rain, they were not able to do graduation at the new field. They were hoping to do that, but the rain kind of delayed a whole bunch of issues there. So they're pretty much basically done there. The field, that whole process was $4.3 million. They have $14,000 left in that to spend. Real good news, bus drivers fully staffed finally. So that was nice. Homeland Security did their vulnerability review on 5/19. And there's more to come on that. And they're also looking at some sort of recycling program. The biggest item of the night was policies. The first policy was policy KB, which was parent involvement in education. There was a move to delete that procedure. And we probably talked, they probably talked 2 hours on that, 2, maybe 3 hours on that. It was a long, long discussion on whether they should delete it or not. There were some that had kind of said that, what's in that policy is covered in other policies. So a lot of discussion on that, and it will be brought up for a second reading. Board relations with parent teacher was deleted for first reading, deleted, and community involvement in decision making was also approved for deletion on the first read. Others that passed for first read were revenue enhancement gifts to school, public information program, advertising schools, and visitors to schools. At 10:30, they made a motion to continue for another 30 minutes. At 10 o'clock, they have to make, per their procedures, they have to make a motion whether to continue the meeting. And that last discussion would, they have to finish that discussion first. And that last discussion was going on and on. So finally, at 10:30, they made a decision. There was continuing business, new business, and an executive session was pushed off until they had a meeting on Friday. It was pushed off until then. The board made a comment about, there was a letter to the editor on the post concerning there was transgender stuff, and she talked a lot about a lot of misinformation on that. And that was it. We adjourned at 10:53 p.m. Long night. Questions, comments, concerns? Thank you. Okay, moving on to manager's report.
Yes.
First item is town reports.
Yeah, just, I've provided a copy for you all here. There are some on the table. Hopefully encourage folks to grab a town report on their way out. So they're here, and hopefully we'll have them all available. They've been circulating in town as well.
Okay, thank you. Review of the 18 AM warrant.
Yeah, I just wanted to have a general conversation, just tell you where I spoke to both Leah Rach and Greg M today. Greg will be here. He'll be our moderator for the annual town meeting. He'll be here probably about 6:30, he said. We've provided him all the information. He's got a town report. He's got an annual town meeting warrant with the explanations on it. I spoke to him very briefly about combining those last few articles together as we've done in the past. I indicated to him he should seek out you, Mr. Chairman, to have those discussions to make sure that we're all on the same page. Other than that, I haven't heard, I have not had any comments, any folks that have contacted me in reference to the warrant that has been posted or any to those natures. The only thing I did have today was Article 3, which talks about accessory dwelling units. I had somebody contacted me today about the procedures if they want to discuss it and so on and so forth. So I provided that to them as well. So that's all I have at this point. I think we're ready to go.
Good, excellent, thank you. Next item is a request for a schedule change on 7/4/23.
Yeah, I bring it up because the 4th of July falls on a Tuesday. And so theoretically, I was looking at what we should do. Perhaps right now would be, you know, we wouldn't be in the office. Obviously, our last day is Thursday the previous week, so we wouldn't be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We would be back on Monday and then have Tuesday off and then back on Wednesday, Thursday. So my thought was to perhaps put 3 days in a row. So, and obviously it would enhance our employees to have a longer time off if we gave them Monday. So in lieu of that, we'd go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of that week. So we'd have 3 days in a row that we'd be open. So that's certainly the request, but obviously that cannot happen unless the Board of Selectmen decide that they would like to do it.
Any comments from the board?
My only question, have you reached out to the staff? Has anybody made plans on that Friday, July 7th, where there'd be nobody here?
There are some that have made plans, but the main office, I don't believe the land use office will have many in it, but the main office will be open. Spoke to the folks in the office, so they'll be here.
So the land use office would not be here?
The land use office, I think that Ann is off and I think Jim is already taking vacation on that long week. So he won't be available. And I believe Beth is planning on working on Friday. No, she's planning on working on Monday. So she'll be here on Monday, simply because she has family coming in on Friday. So right. For me, the main focus was to make sure we could register vehicles right. and collect taxes or anything like that in the main office. So,
yeah, as long as we make sure that we get the website updated, and I would say in the website we would state that there would be nobody available in the land use office.
Sure. Yep. John and I will talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah, good. You need a motion for that, or are you all set?
If I have a general consensus, it's okay. Then I'm all set.
We're good.
Okay.
Okay, next item is the Proctor Road update, 159 Proctor Road.
Yeah, I just wanted to provide, and I believe I gave you the order that was signed by the code officer in reference to that property. Right now, we're giving them until the 27th to vacate the property, and then we would be on the property on the 28th and thereafter in order to do our process. I provided that notice to them, regular mail, certified mail, and sheriff's deputy also provided it to them. So they certainly have noticed that the 27th is the final day that they can be there. in lieu of that, I've already reached out to a couple of the cleaning companies and it's really going to be a 3-phase process, unfortunately. Clean the inside of the building, of the home, so then we can get a asbestos remediation expert in there to look at the possible asbestos contamination within the building that has to be identified, and then we can get that removed. And then once that's removed and we have a clean bill of health, then we can demolish the building. So it will be a summer, probably early fall project. My plan is once the building is vacated, we're going to take the power off the building. That way the power cannot be put back on unless there's a state of an art or an updated electric system within the building. Right now, the electrical system is in not very good shape, and I'm questioning why it's never caught fire up to this date. So, but anyways, just so you know, we're just proceeding as cautiously as we can. I'm not sure what the 27th is going to bring us, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
That's not gonna be cheap.
No, I already have an estimate just for an estimate. I have a couple more coming of $10,000 just to clean the inside of the building. That's not even taking the asbestos out yet. So, yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Moving on to business. First item is a large culvert replacement on the Log Cabin Road.
Yes, I believe they're in their preliminary discussions on this, but what they've provided us is that they're going to be, it appears this summer, doing a large box culvert replacement on Log Cabin Road. We haven't had a construction meeting yet, but the document that they sent me, and they've updated now, because when I first got the document, it said Oxford County, and it had another community in there. So they sent a new one, a fresh one today. And specifically what they're looking for is requests to, if they have to run overweight limits on town ways or town roads, if in fact they need to. So before you leave tonight, I appreciate you signing that so I can get that back to them, and I'll have it here in a minute. But more importantly for me is the procedural part of this. So we really want to be involved in this construction, because what we're hearing is that they really want to shut Log Cabin Road down in order to replace that box culvert, which would be, in my view, not a very good, wise move in the middle of summer. As we all know, Log Cabin Road is a thoroughfare all the way to Kennebunkport during the summertime, and it would be, we'd have to detour. They would have to detour onto Old Post Road and then onto Senate Road in order to, and maybe back onto, is it Lombard Road, back onto Log Cabin, because it's only 0.4 of a mile from the intersection. So there'd be some things there, but we don't know the logistics there. And I've already indicated to them that we're really opposed to shutting the whole road
Yeah, I
down.
thought they were gonna do this in the fall.
It may get to the fall. They're going out to bid now, and they're just trying to get everything else together. So
When we had the meeting there for the intersection, they talked about that culvert, and I thought they had said that they were planning on doing that in the fall because of all of the traffic.
okay. They haven't alluded to that in any of the documents that they've sent me at this point. So
Yeah, they were supposed to do a traffic study sometimes this summer during the busy season to figure out what to do with the intersection. Yep.
yeah, those are really two separate projects.
Right.
I mean, the staggering of the intersection at Old Post and Log Cabin, but the box culvert is a real issue. I don't even know if the trolley folks know that, and you got tour buses that now are going to have to negotiate Old Post Road and then take a left onto Senate Road in order to get down to Kennebunkport. It just doesn't make any logistics to me. So we'll see how that all flushes out, but you folks will certainly be involved in that process, I'm sure.
Maybe that's a winter project.
Well, the box culvert, I'm not quite sure how they, I'm not enough on them, Phil. I don't know if they come in two sections or if you can do one side or they both have to be done at the same time.
8-foot section.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. So maybe that's why they're thinking about closing the road down in order to get that done, but you know, logistically for us, you know, I don't know how long it would take really to set, if they get all the, maybe you can answer this, Phil, if they had all the legwork done, all the prep prior to getting the culverts there, can they set those culverts in a 24-hour period if they have the crew?
No.
Okay,
No, you gotta dig everything out. You gotta prep the whole base. You gotta, right, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It's just impossible.
Yeah.
Okay. So, anyways, I'll keep you all informed on that as
Okay.
we proceed through it. And my other thought was if we had to, we'd get our representative involved. Seeing he's ranking minority member on the Transportation Committee again.
Okay, last item on the agenda is approval of payable and payroll warrant. Motion by Tom. Seconded by Jason. All those in favor? Motion carries.
Don't forget to vote tomorrow.
That's right. Anybody got anything else? Motion to adjourn at 7:32 by Jason. Seconded by Phil. All those in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you for coming.